Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Their pharmacists are here to help you and your family stay protected, offering a wide range of vaccines, including flu shots and COVID-19 boosters. Stop into the store or schedule online at safeway.com/pharmacy. Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Back when I lived in Boston, I divided the world into two types of people: those who shop at Aldi's and those who hate to save money. But ever since moving to Colorado, I've had to make do without my favorite grocery store. That's changing soon. The discount supermarket chain announced Monday it will open more than 50 stores across the Denver and Colorado Springs areas. If you've never shopped there before, quick tip: bring a quarter. It might not make sense now, but you'll thank me later. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Coming up, Barry Morphew is headed to trial again, accused of the murder of his wife, Suzanne.
No murder weapon has yet been recovered, so there are still many circumstantial elements to this case which will make it difficult for prosecutors.
Then, what's next for the nonstop construction site that is DIA?
Well, the city is going to rebuild the part of Peña closest to the airport.
Plus, all the traffic currently on Peña Boulevard means you've probably had plenty of time to sit and wonder, what's the story behind that random barn over there?
It's got owls in the rafters, bones of dead vermin on the floor. It's beautiful, kind of creepy.
It's Tuesday, January 13th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Yesterday, we saw new development in the case of Suzanne Morphew, the Colorado woman whose disappearance almost 6 years ago attracted national attention. Suzanne's husband, Barry Morphew, pleaded not guilty to her murder during an appearance in an Alamosa courtroom Monday. This is the second time Morphew has faced charges in his wife's death. CPR's Ben Marcus has been covering the twists and turns of the Morphew case. Hey there, Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I want to take us back to 2020. Suzanne Morphew goes missing from her home in Chaffee County. How quickly after that did suspicion fall on her husband?
Pretty fast. Investigators found inconsistency in his story on multiple interviews. There were no other credible suspects. And then as they interviewed friends and family and reviewed text messages, they found that their marriage was under intense strain in those months leading up to before she disappeared.
But despite that, the first effort to prosecute him fell apart, right?
That's right. He was charged in 2021 before Suzanne's remains were found. So it was always going to be a tough case built largely on circumstantial evidence. But the big problem was that the prosecution did not properly manage the case. They quickly got in trouble with the court for not meeting discovery deadlines. They had resource constraints. It's not a big judicial office. They weren't turning over evidence to Morphew's attorneys when they were supposed to.
I also seem to remember that the district attorney who oversaw the case got in a lot of trouble over it.
Yeah, Linda Stanley was the district attorney when this started. She was disbarred in 2024 and lost her job, in large part because of her handling of the Morphew case. And that included having her office investigate the judge in the case because rulings weren't going their way. Now, the upshot of all this is that charges against Barry Morphew were dropped without prejudice before the case went to trial. And that's important because it allows prosecutors to charge him again for murder in the future if new evidence should come to light.
Which was the case. So what are prosecutors basing their case on this time around?
So the big break in the case came in 2023 when Suzanne's remains were found on this remote patch of land south of the town of Moffett in southern Colorado. This was after prosecutors had dropped the case against Barry Morphew. An autopsy was done, results were released in 2024, and they found the presence of a powerful animal tranquilizer called BAM that Barry was known to have access to. So a grand jury indicted him, and last year he was arrested for her murder again.
All of which brings us up to speed. So what will be Morphew's defense?
We don't know just yet. Attorneys have not outlined their case, but they're likely to challenge the autopsy. This was a novel approach, looking for this tranquilizer in the bones of remains that had been exposed to the elements for at least more than a year. They may point out that Barry's not the only person to have access to this type of tranquilizer. No murder weapon has yet been recovered, so there are still many circumstantial elements to this case, which will make it difficult for prosecutors, and Morphew has consistently maintained his innocence from the beginning.
Ben, the arraignment was delayed several times before it finally happened on Monday. Why is it taking so long for it to get to trial?
There's just mountains of evidence. This is a very long-standing investigation with many witnesses crossing state lines involving technical aspects of tranquilizer and how that's found in autopsies. And so in requesting delays, the defense has noted there are terabytes of information that they've had to review in this case to make sure that any guilty, not guilty plea is informed by the evidence.
Ben Marcus, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Can you remember the last time that going to Denver International Airport didn't feel like visiting a construction zone? Well, that's not going to change anytime soon. Denver's planning new additions to the C Concourse and renovations to Peña Boulevard. Denverite's Paulo Shalcera is with me to go through the details. Hey there, Paulo.
Howdy, I'm still in Slideshow mode.
The C Concourse already went through a big expansion in the last couple of years. How much bigger will it get?
Well, they're adding 400,000 additional square feet to the west side of the concourse. That's 11 new gates plus concessions and amenities. This follows big projects on all three concourses that have added dozens of new gates, plus outdoor decks and lots of new restaurants and shops. But the main reason this news is interesting is that it's the last gate expansion the airport can do with its existing concourses.
Last gate expansion? So does that mean the construction is ending soon?
No, God, no. The Concourse C contract is for 7 years with 2 one-year options to extend. And there's always something in the works at DIA. One upcoming project is that Jurassic Park-ish garden that you see when you get off the train on Concourse C. That's about to go the way of the dinosaurs.
That's a bummer. That is one of my favorites. Why are they getting rid of it?
Well, it's been a headache since it was installed. It started out with live plants, but the irrigation system leaked, which is a problem given it's right above a high-voltage train line. And even after they swapped out the real plants for fake ones, it's been a pain to maintain.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that. My partner actually works in an art conservation team, and they recently did the maintenance on that. She went there, and they had to clean each one of those plants leaf by leaf.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they're getting rid of it and replacing it with another lower maintenance sculpture by the same artist.
Speaking of things changing, what's going on with the Great Hall renovation? Is that anywhere close to being done?
It's in the final phase, and it's supposed to wrap up in 2027. When it's done, there will be new arrival spaces for international and domestic passengers, more security lanes, and a big crystal tree.
Okay, we've been talking about the experience inside the airport, but what about the experience getting to it? Is there any chance that Peña Boulevard is getting less congested anytime soon?
Well, the city is going to rebuild the part of Peña closest to the airport. It won't get any more lanes, but they're going to realign things a little bit and add some more on and off ramps. That's not to say road expansion isn't on the cards. More lanes could be coming to the whole road. The airport has commissioned a study to look at options to reduce traffic on Peña, and widening it is one option. And by the way, I'm not even getting into the $150 million car rental facility the airport will be building along the often congested road soon.
Gotcha. So airport construction experience, it's far from over. Thank you so much, Pablo.
Of course.
We just heard about what's in store for the future along Peña Boulevard, but we're ending today by looking into the past, into something that I've been wondering about on drives to the airport, and I imagine you probably have as well. As you round the final turn along Peña Boulevard and DIA's pointy white tips come into view, there, off to the side, is a relic from Denver's frontier history, a perfectly rectangular red barn.
We made our own fun, but Dad always said you can't play until your work's done.
That's the voice of Don Race, speaking with a reporter from 9 News. The Red Barn is the last remaining piece of his family's wheat farm, which dated back to the 1930s. Reporter Sam Tabachnik recently wrote about the Red Barn for the Denver Post. Sam, most of us just get to see the barn as we pass it on Peña Boulevard or the A-line. But you actually got to get up close to it, so what was that like?
It's old, it's red, basically out of historic barn central casting. It's got owls in the rafters, bones of dead vermin on the floor. It's beautiful, kind of creepy. You can see the light kind of streaming through the slats, and you can see planes going overhead, but it also sticks out like a sore thumb. The Red Barn is literally hundreds of feet from Peña Boulevard, which sees more than 100,000 vehicles every day.
Beautiful and kind of creepy. What a description. This barn has been around for almost a century. Can you take us through some of its history?
So the Race family first got to the area around the Red Barn in the 1930s, and they farmed dryland wheat. They had a bunch of different animals. They had a dairy, and they continued that for several decades, all the way up until the construction of the airport.
Sam, as I drive there now, it doesn't seem like there's much cow milking or wheat farming happening. So why is the barn still standing?
So the airport has owned the land since they acquired it in the 1990s, and they say they want to incorporate the Red Barn into future development.
What would that look like?
Airport wouldn't say exactly what they were thinking. Right now, there's a chain link fence around to keep out people, and right now it's still sitting there undisturbed.
You happened to speak to the Race family, the surviving members of it. Did they talk about the memories that they have of this place?
The Race family talked about a real rural life. It's hard to believe now looking at that area, but this was real rural Colorado at that point. These kids, they were ranch kids. They were farm kids. They participated in 4-H. They went to the Western Stock Show. They went to school at one-room schoolhouses nearby, and their nearest neighbors were a couple miles away.
And what happened when they lost the land?
So the family was relocated along with other farmers in the area to Brighton. The father was still able to work the land for another couple years, but the children said he had to wear a name tag when he went to work.
And now, what did they tell you about this legacy that it'll have being incorporated into DIA?
The family was mixed. One of the children said it was progress. Another said it was sad. Barn is the only piece of the old farm standing. And she said she wouldn't even recognize that area now.
Denver Post reporter Sam Tabachnik, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Reporting for today's show came from CPR's Mateo Schimpf. Thank you for listening. Remember to follow Colorado Today in your podcast app and leave a review. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.